Welcome, power people. I am thrilled to have my sister. I know some of y'all watching feel like she's your sister, but today on this live, she mine. Okay. And I'm going to stick beside her. I have the incredible Tiffany Bethea, and we are excited to share with you some wisdom. Mm-hmm. Most of our followers and the people that we serve are passionate. You own businesses. Mm-hmm. Some of you are at the startup of your businesses. Some of you are at the scaling up of your business. Some of you are rebirthing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I, in particularly, if you know you are in the rebirthing phase, put rebirth in the comments, whether you're listening on YouTube or Facebook. We are here to have a conversation with you. I want the people who have been consistent with their passion for 3+ years to enter the chat. Because the 888 code is coming. I have been blessed to be able to be coined a spiritual business strategist because I am anointed with how you operate, your pattern of operating your business. And the way we identify what your patterns are is by looking at your infrastructure. And where there is no infrastructure, there is no sustainability. Yeah. And so Tiff, I got to tag you in, sis, because one of the things we process up front in 888 code is a 5-day business training. What we start with is your entrepreneurial trauma. And I know for a fact that a lot of passionate empowerment professionals have lost the joy of the assignment. Yeah. It's heavy to be obedient sometimes, right? Yep. And so I just want to hold space for you. Tiff and I are here to have a necessary conversation. The intention is twofold, that it gives you something that you need, one of the missing pieces to the puzzle, that it answers some of the questions you've been asking God about why I keep saying yes to this assignment. Secondly, I am going to invite you into my sacred container and process to get things organized in a way that is joy-driven. Right? Because it should be categorized as a business strategy. Your joy should be categorized as a business strategy. So let me introduce my girl. So TiffanyBethea.com, first of all.
You're so crazy.
Go to, somebody put it in the comments for me. Tiffany Bethea, that is TiffanyBethea.com. If you don't know sis, if you know her from back in the day, you probably know her voice. She's saying. If you know her from back in the day and you've ever been in need of prayer, then you know her anointing. This one don't have no problem getting through. Okay? On your behalf. Okay? You pull it right on down out of heaven. If you've recently met her, if you had the honor of going to her conference last year, incredible, then you know that she is a marketing and branding specialist on a global scale. Tiffany Bethea has worked with large brands. She's worked with small to medium-sized businesses. She's worked with people who are just like, I got a dream and I need some prayer.
Yep.
She started from the bottom. Now I know my Kendrick fans, but I'm just saying. Right? And so I have, as her sister and as one of her clients of her branding intelligence. I mean, I had it was one call with Tiffany Bethea about what I needed to do with my brand image for the womb sauna and thousands of dollars activated in my business.
Yeah.
Within, I think it was less than 48 hours. I don't even think it was 48.
Mm-hmm.
It is so important. If you're listening to me, take notes. You don't want to treat this conversation as casual. It is so important that you have the right relationships.
Yes.
Relationships are currency. Do you understand? It's
Yeah.
so important that you know who to resource and when to resource them. Okay, so I am bringing one of my own resources to the conversation because as Tiffany's sister, I've witnessed her ability to stay obedient to her assignment with that pretty smile on her face and that pink lip. I'm just saying.
I mean, do you like it? I'm trying something new, you like it?
Mm-hmm. So I would like to start with allowing you, Tiffany, if there's anything I forgot to mention about your credentials and why I have you here, please just throw it in the conversation.
Yeah.
So, how can we help people who are absolutely exhausted, maybe frustrated, with continuing to fuel their dreams and keep trying at their vision of success? What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, I have to say to you, thank you, because I know that just like me, you believe in creating sacred spaces. And so we don't invite everyone to share on our platforms. They are sacred.
No, we don't. It's intentional.
Okay. And I don't care about follower count and all the things people be caring about. I care about what I know you carry. So, and I know you are the same way. So for you to invite me to this very sacred space that you've created, I am honored as your sister. And I have to say that. Truly. And I take every assignment. Y'all, I'm not playing. I came with notes. Okay. Listen.
Tiffany Bethea, you better know.
Because I don't play about your community either. Okay. So as I was sitting here, just even, you know how you already, anytime I am asked to open my voice, I am always like, God, what do you want me to say?
Yes.
Because they didn't really come to hear me. They came to hear you through me.
That's right.
So I'm like, okay, we're talking about, and I was reading through, everything you sent. And so I was already preparing, but honestly, just here live in this moment, as you were talking, I was like, wait a minute, I'm kind of a word nerd, sis. Do you know that about me? Like, I love words.
I play words more as sisters, by the way. Sidebar. We'll make that one of the things we do.
So I was like, let me go to a definition real quick. And the definition, it stirs something. So it's so simple. But I was like, what is joy? Like, I know I have context for joy, but what does it say joy is? A feeling of great pleasure.
Come on.
I knew that would hit you in a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. And I was like, ooh. Now I'm talking about me. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus. I'm not gonna come for y'all. However, if as I throw myself under the bus, if your toe gets hit, go ahead and just say ouch in the comments, okay? Because when I think about pleasure, I think about literally pleasure in the presence of God. I think about the fact that literally the word tells me to delight myself.
Yes.
And I said, I think about the time, sis, honestly, and that I was overwhelmed, heavy in heart, maybe even lost a bit or confused around the assignment. And it was always when I was disconnected and I was not in a place of pleasure and delight in my relationship with God.
You teaching.
And I'm gonna just, again, talk about me or throw me under the bus. I can remember, and I feel like a lot of times when we tell these stories, we're talking about the way back. No, I'm gonna say about last year. Okay.
Yeah, like less than 365 days.
Yeah, I'm talking about right now. Okay. Last year I had an assignment and God gave me a clear directive. But me being a type A, I got the assignment and I get up and I go and I hit the ground running. And I noticed that it was effective-ish, but it did not get the results I had hoped for. And so when I came back to him in prayer, like, and to be honest, it was something where I was in the red. Let me be super clear. I invested, I built a team, I put this, I'm like, let's do this. And while people enjoyed it, I was like, how did this become a deficit? What happened? Like this wasn't, how did this happen? And the Holy Spirit said to me, you took the instruction and you took off running without me.
Okay, wait a minute. I need y'all to put some hearts. I'm gonna need y'all to come in and say hit, put hit in the comment sections if you felt that. I felt that in my chest. You said that with your chest.
I said, wait a minute. Now, mind you, this is me doing something. I'm clear that is his assignment. But I disconnected from the source in the doing, in the planning and the operations and the activation of it. I said, ooh, you're right.
Let's give that terminology because we love words.
Yeah.
Let's call that misplaced responsibility.
Ooh, yes, ma'am.
Getting juicy on this live now. Misplaced responsibility.
Absolutely.
Who is responsible for what in the vision?
Okay.
And this makes me think about where faith comes into play, because if you're faith driven, anything in excess can be problematic.
Yeah.
I have watched, Tiffany, and I'm curious if you've seen it too. I've watched faithpreneurs, right? Driven by faith, big vision, and they're missing all of the critical details.
Yes.
They're only focused on the finish line. They're not even looking at where they're at in the moment.
Yeah. And the journey of it. And so here's the thing, like, God is so intentional in process. So that has been one of my downfalls, has been being so focused on outcome and here's the goal, and not finding the joy. Here we go again. The literal joy in the journey of, like, now I am birthing something else and I'm doing it a different way. Yeah. And I'm like, as I am lingering in the presence of God for daily instructions, this is such a different journey. It's not just what's being birthed and what's going to happen. It's how I am being reborn and developed in the and it's in those daily encounters that I'm getting my cup filled, that I'm finding God likes to speak to me at about 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah, me too. I don't know why it can't happen at 8, but yeah.
Or 9, So I have finally surrendered. When I tell you the past 2 weeks, when I wake up at 3, I'm just like, okay, what we doing? So literally the other day, I woke up, it was like 3:30 or something. I went to the bathroom and then I came back and I sat up in the bed and I said, okay, God. And I put on my worship music and I just began to, and I literally had a moment where I was like laughing, like, this is crazy, but I'm actually enjoying this. Yeah. I'm not a morning person.
That's that unspeakable joy. That's what my grandmama used to say. It's the joy that the world didn't give to you, so the world can't take it away.
It doesn't make sense. I'm sleepy. I want to be in the bed. I don't even want to do this at night. I am not a morning. The entertainer in me is such a night owl, but the joy, the literal joy. And I noticed that my heart is so much lighter in the assignment. Now, this assignment is bigger that I'm birthing than what I was doing last year. This is a bigger, much weightier assignment that impacts way more people. But it feels light. It doesn't feel heavy and burdensome, because to your point, I recognize my place. And my place is to be the vessel, not to be God.
As you were saying that, I kept hearing this, and I want to say this, and if it hits you, I want you to put an exclamation mark in the comments. You are God's vision, and God will never resource your vision if it will compromise you. Because you are God's vision. You are a perfect idea straight out of the mind of God. I believe that what we're looking at, for those of us who coach, mentor, empower people in business, we are looking at a paradigm shift in work ethic, where being successful while simultaneously deteriorating yourself is no longer allowed.
Exactly. Yes.
Because you are God's vision.
Yeah.
You are God's responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why would God give you a multi-million-dollar year that's going to ruin your blood pressure and your edges?
Come on.
Why would God give you a multi-billion-dollar year that's going to exasperate the generational pattern of diabetes and high cholesterol and insomnia? There is another way. Put that in the comments. There is another way. And if you receive it, just go ahead and pull it into your orbit, because you don't have to suffer successful. So if you're dealing with chronic exhaustion, I just preached on this Sunday morning, Tiffany, so the synchronicity of this is I was teaching from my favorite book, A Course in Miracles, lesson, I think it's 301, and it said, God will wipe away every single tear, not some, every single one. And it says in the lesson that God's world is happy.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
I'm going to build my empire from a happy place.
Yes. And
anybody listening that birthed your vision, your business from your wounded self, please hear me. This is not an indictment. It is actually a moment to choose deliverance. You get to birth from joy. You get to create a business model that is not trauma and pain driven. Because if it is, it creates a pattern of trauma bonding with the marketplace, the very people you're called to serve. You need them to understand, pay you for, invest in a certain level of woundedness for them to get the brand and get the product and get the service. But honestly, God is doing a new thing. Behold, something brand new is available for your success. And it's going to require a new you. If your results need to change, that means you must change. You got to go first. Come on. And if you change yourself, everything will follow. But there is no sustainable success. I don't care what your industry is. I don't care what your stage of business is. Anything that's not changing is dead. So at some point, because you are God's vision, God is going to slow down all the things that distract you. If God wants my attention, he changes the bank account balance. He knows I'm his child. He's like, let me mess with Tamar's money.
That would be me too.
So you got to thank God. See, you So instead of judging, in that lesson in A Course in Miracles, it says, I suffered because of my judgments of what's happening. I did not understand what was happening. It'll feel easy to be obedient to your assignment when you choose joy, regardless of the outcome. When you teach your mind, your body, and your spirit what to feel internally versus externally. That's good. That's going to give you a marketplace advantage, which kind of leads into my second question I have for you, because I do believe, Tiffany, that faith is currency. Do you hold that? So
quite literally, yes.
How do they know the difference between I'm an overthinking over dreamer and I classify what I dream as faith versus I heard something very clearly that I know it's from God and is my assignment, and I need to walk in the process.
This is really, and makes me think of when I read the book, I feel like I bought this book so much. I need to affiliate something.
I'm gonna need you to just always program, honey, and just share that link.
Okay, like seriously. I gave language to something that I was saying for years that I didn't have the astute language. And it's really simple. He talks about different motivation, and he talks about you can either be pushed by your past or pulled forward by vision. And honestly, I think there are really only two energies, period. I think that it's either faith, love, spirit, or fear. That's it. Right? And so when I think about what's motivating or what's at the core, I also think faith, love, spirit is very forward thinking, is very pulling you forward. And I think fear is a very past energy. So when I coach and I'm talking to people and I'm trying to figure out the energy we're in, I'm listening to the tense that we're talking about. And if I ask you something like, tell me about your vision. Sometimes I'll say it this way. If I had a magic wand in your business and we could, what would it look like? And they may say something like, I just know I don't want to do that. And I don't want to, that's past language. Do you see that? That's fear energy. That's back here. You telling me all the stuff you don't want versus being able to say, I just envision this and this is what I see and this is what I've heard. And there's always a tense. It's either back here or it's forward. And this is what I love. I identified that a while ago. But when I read the book, The Big Leap, he goes even deeper to talk about how when you are past motivated, number one, let's be clear, you can actually create some big results. So I want that to be clear. You could be motivated by the wrong thing and still get far. That's the problem. Is that people assume that their core is healthy because you can get pretty far with the wrong motivation until you look up and realize I don't have the right relationship with my child. My health is in trauma. Oh, I've got this big booming business, but it cost me a marriage. It cost me peace. Wait a minute. No. Something was right. Huh? I'm just,
you got time today.
I got time today. Okay. So I think we have, so the metric can't be, is the business booming? Is the stage? Do I got the red bottoms? That can't be the metric. The metric is the fruit. When I am being pulled forward by what spirit has told me, by what I see, and by what I heard, there's a peace that surpasses that you could be wherever. There's a settledness in your nervous system that like, nope, I'm good. I'm in that space right now. There are things I'm battling and I'm warring as I'm pushing out this next baby. But the peace that I feel because I see something in front of me. You hear me? But I've been the person who it was the other person in the past. When I started my business from a place of trauma. I started my business literally, a month before getting divorced, like the paperwork. So I had been separated for like a year, a new single mother, broke in.
Come on.
So since we're not coming for you, let's be real clear.
We just testifying.
No, we just testifying. This is a safe place, okay? And if you feeling what we saying, just I feel you in the comments, okay?
Yeah.
So I started my business broken. So I remember the trauma motivation of I'm gonna prove this and I'm gonna show you and I remember having to make the switch from that energy to no. What did God say? What do I see? What do I want? What am I building towards? And now that is the faith fuel that pushes me. Can I just go a little bit deeper and I'm gonna stop?
No, go.
I feel like I quote this scripture all the time, and it's like, Lord, I know. Thank you that there's no quote on Hebrews 12:1-2 is my vision scripture. It's funny because I feel like people don't talk about it as a vision scripture, but I think it is. When we talk about looking to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, there's a line that we got to underline in there. Who for the joy that was set before him.
Come on.
We don't, and I said, we don't talk about this enough. That joy that was set before him, that's a vision phrase.
Yes.
That says, I see something so amazing in front of me that I can endure all this process. There. Ooh, that look. And how funny, the word joy.
Right.
And so that's when I had to make the switch from being motivated by back here to the joy that was in front of me and go, ooh, yeah, I want that.
I want that. I have been there too, Tiff. I've literally caught myself asking myself when I'm sitting with God, like, is it okay for me to create from the joy? Because I've had so much success creating from the trauma.
Yep.
It actually created some cognitive dissonance because I also had to reconcile the algorithm. Right? So when I post happy stuff, it don't seem like people care.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You understand, because you're the marketing brander, so you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
When you post the drama, when you post your remnants of your rage, when you post and you speak to people's wounds.
Yeah, girl.
Oh, baby, you get likes, you getting comments, you're getting shares. But you said something important about the fruit.
Yeah.
And if God's world is happy, just consider, those of you listening, that maybe the assignment is not about addressing the pain, but remembering the joy.
Yeah.
You were birthed out of a happy place.
Yes.
That your assignment was ordained for you even before you were in your mother's womb, before there was ever pain and wounding, and disappointment and frustration and being in the red, that there was a plan set in motion that activated when you took your first breath. And every day that you can breathe is evidence that you're still significant. And my intention through this conversation is that something we say helps you fully embrace your significance in the world, not from your ego space, but from the love of God's space that is held for you. So that you can realize that even when you fail, it is a strategy of God.
Yep.
You know, the scripture says that God's strength is made perfect in our weakness, not our genius, not our strength, not our image, not our algorithm, not our... When you run out of strength, God runs in. And that's something that should be a part of how you operate in the marketplace. It's important. I could not imagine operating this empire. And Tiffany, you know behind the scenes how many things on my things to do list. Today's headache was our payroll system. Poor Emanuela. She set it up with a whole company. We get inside. The interface is so tacky. We just close it down. Start over.
Oh no. Oh man.
It's the day-to-day stuff. How can you? How could I have the fortitude to stay joyful if I don't have God as my foundation that I stand upon? Some get lost in success. It happens to all of us. We can get lost in who we are, and we start achieving versus aligning. And here's a big difference. And the difference is in your comfort zone. Because it can be very comfortable to keep looking behind you, to keep doing what you always do, to keep staying in the familiar space. When I look at the nature of God, God loves to switch it up. I'm learning this in my backyard right now. The flower that bloomed last summer is a different flower blooming this summer. I invite all of you listening to really think about how you are operating. And as we wrap this up, I want to get into, Tiffany, like, you know, I like the practical application of knowledge. I don't like to just talk and not give people a framework to apply what we talked about.
Yeah.
So 3 practical ways that our empowerment professionals can start adding joy to their royal habits, to their daily work routine. What are 3 things?
I wrote down 3 things and 3 ways that we need to get rooted.
Okay, I love that.
And so now here go. My minister, baby, I always got 3 points. I be telling them when they watch my show, I'm like, y'all know I got 3 points, right?
And a worksheet you can download to write them points on.
Exactly.
You need to know.
Like literally. So, and then this is the part where I really sat with God. I was like, what do you want me to say to her audience? And he gave me 3 things. The first one was to get rooted in love.
Ooh.
Now, sis, again, I'm throwing myself under the bus. And if the bus wheels hit you, just say me and
just roll over. God will get you back.
Be like, ow, you're in my business, okay? Because I would say I don't even know if maybe it's been a year. Let's say that. So very freshly, God has been having me to really reimagine how I'm rooted in his love. And I'm going to tell you what did it. Ephesians 3:16-20 messed me up because I was so focused on 20. It's like everybody loves the exceeding abundantly above, but no.
Let's
I
go
went up with you. And I said, wait a minute, Paul said something else right here. We ain't, this part need to be just as loud as the next part. He was before even talking about the power. What he says is, it's my hope that you would get rooted in his love and understand the width and the depth and the magnitude.
Yes.
And I was like, and I said this on my show this week. I said, I'm starting to realize that love is like the central core to all of this other stuff, love and fear. You look at, there's times where you see this juxtaposition between love and fear. Now this is a juxtaposition of love and power. And I was like, love is at the root of all of this.
It really is.
Because if I truly understand how much he loves me, I can take delight in the difficulties, because I know if you've allowed, and I'm telling you what I'm walking through right now.
Yeah.
I can say, I hate this. This don't feel good, but you're so good. If you let me be here, okay.
It's all good. Because I'm not here alone.
Because I'm not here alone. And I'm not here because you're mad at me, because you're trying to punish me. I have to take the framework out of what I may know from my natural caretakers or some things I may have experienced. You're not trying to like, oh yeah, I'm going to get you. And then, no. You're like, okay.
Life is life.
Even if I made a bad decision and got myself here, you're still like, all right, how can I turn this? How can I help this edify her? How can I use this to grow her and push her forward? And so for me, being rooted in love, that's my daily sit with God time.
I love that.
I have to sit with him. I have to get quiet. I had someone I was coaching recently, and I said to them, I want you for the next 30 days, when you go to in your quiet time, I don't want you to take your devotional. I don't want you to take your little pre-written stuff. I just want you to go there and just talk to him and sit there and linger and let him talk to you. Don't go with no pre-written, take the Marshawn book down. Don't go with none of that. Just go sit with your father and experience him.
That's gold. You can take that to the bank and cash that out for real.
Yeah. Like,
how could
when's
you
the last time you lingered?
How could you ever truly lose yourself if you're with God? Like how? Right.
And I hear this. Thank you. I want to say this to the person who's watching this, and maybe you just have gotten disconnected. Girl, it happens. It's okay. We come for you because it's happened to all of us.
Ghetto.
Okay, because in real life, okay, let this be your moment to reconnect. Let this be your reminder that your Father loves you so much, and no matter how you got away, where you went away, no matter what, all you got to do is come back humble like, I was tripping.
I'm back. You miss
and
me?
watch him snatch you up and reintroduce you to that love. So I think that's the first thing, was get rooted in love.
So can I just add, because you know I'm the infrastructure girl. So I teach my business coaching clients to live by their calendar. So literally on my calendar is me and God time. The same way
me
on
too.
my calendar is me and God time.
Yeah.
So if you've been disconnected and you're feeling that in your body, go to your calendar and designate that time.
Yes, thank you.
But some of you might be first thing in the morning. Some of you might be middle of the day. That part is not as important as that is on your calendar.
Exactly. Yes, that is prioritized.
Yes.
That's so good. I got excited. I forgot to say that, but that's really good. Like, that is the practical part. And I teach the same thing when I teach like a weekly block schedule, and I kind of walk them through like, what are your priorities? And if for every priority, put them in order. So if God is the first thing, where does that go? It has to be on your calendar. So yes, ma'am.
And train your team. And train your team to respect what you put on your calendar.
Yeah. Whoever that is, whether it's staff, family, children, spouse. Like, one thing I talk about when it comes to like priorities of time is that once you create them, you have to communicate them.
Yes.
People don't know if you don't communicate that and say, hey, just so you know, from 5 to 6, this is my time with God. I cannot be interrupted, and build the systems around that are necessary, and then enforce it. Like, my phone is on do not disturb, so you can't get through anyway. It don't even matter. Like, I'm with God. I'm gonna talk to you later. It's not going to ring and disrupt me because I built the system in my phone.
I love that.
Yeah. I want us to also, sis, get rooted in the vision. Ooh. And I mean really rooted. So let me ask you a question. I don't know if you've experienced it.
Let's do this.
I feel like, have you experienced that sometimes we are so just excited about feeling that we've never really taken the time to get clear and truly rooted in what we see?
I have. And you cannot execute without clarity. So if you live a lifestyle governed by your emotions, you are disadvantaged.
Yes.
Because your emotions will fluctuate. Matter of fact, everything you feel isn't even yours. And so there comes a point where you have to have a truth, a vision so clearly defined that no matter what you're feeling, you are standing in your truth. Even if your emotions contradict it.
Yep.
And that is how you stay functional as a marketplace person, because there are going to be great days and there are going to be hard days in the entrepreneurial world. But if you have clarity, you will be able to continue to execute. And clarity will measure your capacity. Right? So if you're so exhausted, you're not able to get things done, but you feel like, but I know who I am.
Yeah.
Where I'm supposed to be. Then now we have to examine and audit your capacity. What is actually really happening in your life? One day, Tiffany, I literally, because I kept hearing myself say, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. Like, am I telling the truth? Because there can be no breakthrough without the truth. So I sat down with pen and paper and I tracked and wrote down what I did every single hour. And I said, oh, time out. Like, okay, you're going to know the truth. It's going to set you free today.
Did you say, wait a minute, this may not be the truth?
I was sitting here saying I couldn't find 3 hours to run 3 webinars in a 30-day period. Because I don't have time. And I caught myself staring at walls for 3 hours in a day. Caught myself, scrolling through social media. Like, you don't get the higher level blessings without the grooming and cultivation of the capacity for them.
Yeah.
Are you the size container for the blessings you're invoking?
Come on, come on.
You want $1 million? Do you know how much responsibility comes with a multi-million-dollar
Do
lifestyle?
you know how you have to steward that?
Hello? You better
Right.
learn something about the tax codes and all the things.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
so it's not that God is not hearing you. Please, somebody listen and be clear today. It's not that God is not hearing you.
Yeah.
It's that you might, and it could be subconscious, be resistant to changing. And your daily habits and routines reflect how clear you actually are about who you are and what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I want to say this. I want somebody to write this down. You cannot measure it. Nope, I get excited. You cannot manage it if you cannot measure it.
Ooh, baby.
And you cannot grow it if you cannot manage it. So what I just gave you is a framework: measure, manage, grow. Tama, people come to me and say, I want to have 5-figure months, 6-figure months, cool. I go automatically to like, all right, let's look at what we're tracking. I want to see the metrics. And they're like,
what metrics? They're like, you're speaking of
like, and I'm like, well, because you're not measuring it, we can't manage it. And because we're not managing it, we can't grow it. The fact that you can't tell me how many leads you got this month and how many of those leads converted into a sale, and a myriad of metrics of health metrics that say we're on the right track, or if we're not on the right track, here's where we got off track. Maybe we just didn't get enough leads. So then that's an attraction problem. Maybe we got a lot of leads and then they didn't convert well. Well, that's a nurture problem. Maybe they took in our nurture and then we didn't. Well, then that's a conversion problem. And all of them are there. That's 3 different diagnoses right there.
Yep.
But if we don't even have any numbers to look at, then we can't even. So you got to measure it first, then manage, and then grow. And this is still vision, y'all. When we look at your vision, if you don't have something measurable in there, you're going to have a hard time managing it and growing it.
Yeah. Ooh. And if you don't have any of those metrics, you are prone to misclassify the value of what you've built.
Yeah.
And this is how we see entrepreneurs abandoning the assignment. Because they no longer think it's valuable. They can't measure correctly.
Yep.
That's
you know what, sis? To your point, sometimes what I've seen that look like is people are doing better than they thought and they didn't know. I've had conversations with a few people where they said, man, I hosted this webinar and it didn't. And I said, oh, okay. Well, let's talk through the numbers. And I'll say, well, how many people showed up? And then they say, okay, cool. Well, how many people converted? And they're like, only. And I'm like, girl, do you know this number is the average? You did this.
And they don't even know.
Only because they just don't know. They're sitting up here all discouraged. And I'm like, girl, you did double what you were supposed to do. But that's great.
That happened to me and you when I did my last free. And I was like, you was running the numbers with me because that's what we do.
Yes.
And I said, oh, you was like, yeah, Tama. That's the value. I like to tell my clients all information is neutral until you assign meaning to it.
Yeah.
What's really driving you to sit down in the frustration instead of the joy? There's so much to celebrate. The fact that you even tried.
Right.
It's something to celebrate. The fact that you even said yes and woke up another day and said, I want to go inspire, empower, educate, provide a product for. What?
Yes.
That's something to applaud. You know?
Yeah. And then the last thing, believe it or not, I'm going to say is get rooted in the discomfort.
Okay, so on that note, I'm out. Everybody else can say.
I'm logging off. I don't want to talk about this.
I don't want to talk about this with you today, Tiffany Bethea.
I don't want to talk about this either. Okay, can I just tell you? But I have to say, greatness is uncomfortable.
It is.
And it's so interesting because sometimes I ask God questions and I'm like, it's really even the way our brain is just wired.
Yes.
Your brain is wired to keep you safe, which means if I climb up to the top of this house and stand there, I'm going to feel fear. My brain is telling me, get down, you might fall, it's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, if I decide I want to write a book or buy a property or launch something else, my brain is going to send me that same signal. But no, this is actually safe. This is okay. It's trying to keep me
to promote the book.
Exactly. And so because we don't always understand our wiring, we misread the discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And we think it means like, no. Instead of recognizing that I hear you, Lord. I'm going to say it this way. I don't think I've ever said it this way. The discomfort is holy.
Mm-hmm.
The discomfort is holy because it causes you to have to exit yourself and ego
and for something bigger.
And there that is.
That's it. To get through the moment.
I said this on my show this week. I said, miracles need a void.
Ooh.
You ever look at miracles need a container, they need a void. There needs to be a space where only the divine can do this. This cannot happen through me alone.
Yeah.
But then a lot of times we look at the void and if we don't have the right lens, we're like, but God, you told me to host this event. I don't have the funds for it. I know that's the void where I come if you'd invite me. But it's going to be uncomfortable when you got to call the venue and you got to do all this stuff. And you're like, I don't know.
Negotiate. Partner.
That's the discomfort, but it's holy. And if we could reframe how we see it and say, man, this discomfort is you allowing me to birth something great, then we could find the joy even in that.
Yeah. Because you become someone new and different.
Yes.
It's like, I literally changed in the process of coming out of my comfort zone. So what I thought I couldn't do or handle, I've discovered that I can.
Yeah.
What I thought I would fail at, even if it didn't create the outcome I thought it would, it still changed me.
Yes.
And so because I'm now different, so is the next moment. Because a new version of me is showing up to what's coming next. And I am my greatest asset. Put that in the comments. I am my greatest asset in my business. Everything that is happening in my business is following my clarity about who I am.
Yes.
Reverend Ike is quoted often for saying, who needs a devil when you hold the self-concept of yourself that you do?
Come on.
If you can just see what God sees about your business,
come on.
It's going to change your capacity.
Yeah.
Because you're foreseeing your promises and it's fueling your faith, your audacity. You're willing to go through the lessons about what to do with your resources, your time, your energy, your money. You've learned from some of your other experiences, and now you're ready to move into new experiences and create some new data to train you for the next phase.
Yep.
You don't stop learning just because you hit six figures. You don't stop learning because you have multi-millions of dollars. The wealthiest people in the world value learning.
Yep, exactly.
It translates as real dollars and cents. And yes, sometimes the comfort zone requires you to stop being around what's familiar, who's familiar, because you've exhausted all you can learn in certain spaces.
So good.
What's the next space for me, God? What's the next version of you? Who are you becoming? Because if that gets so clear, vibrationally, it's going to shift everything outside of you.
Yes,
Start from the inside and work your way out.
Yeah.
And build a work culture in your business that requires healthy change as the constant motion here. Even in my leadership, Tiffany, I've been scaling for years, and I'm in this phase. I've finally hired the perfect business operational manager, and I'm having a promotion. That's the goal. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, where you get to put yourself at any given time and go up. And so my leadership skills, I'm being trained in real time through how I'm tasking, how clean and streamlined are my systems actually. It's easy in your brain, but when it has to translate in somebody else's,
that's the measuring stick, honey. Woo!
So we're saying all of this because there's still joy in all of it. I could create reasons to be upset, but instead I just default to joy. I get excited. I was singing to Emmanuel today. I said, girl, where you been all my life? I said, loving you.
I love it.
We're going to laugh as we fix it.
Yep. That's it.
So I hope this has been a blessing to you. Tiffany, thank you. I know I went over a little bit more than I thought we would.
It's okay. I love it.
When the oil starts moving, we might.
Exactly. I know how to flow, honey. Listen.
But please tell our viewers how they can stay connected to you and some of the incredible offerings you have coming up so that they can know what you have in motion.
Thank you. Well, again, it's a pleasure. I could talk to you all day, honey. So I'm just like, and I do pray that this has been really edifying and transformative for every one of you that's watching this. I can be found on every platform at Tiffany L. Bethea. And of course, the website is Tiffany Bethea. That's where you can find more about the work that I'm doing, my baby, Kingdom Boss, the community for men and women that we're growing. Yes. So that's my favorite place to hang out on the good internet.
I love it. Make sure you're on her email list. She is absolutely consistent. She does not take you giving her email for granted. Okay?
No, I don't.
So you will get some valuable offerings and tools that are exclusive to her email list. And I'm so excited, as you know, about Kingdom Boss and what you are getting ready to birth out for the world. June 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the 888 code business infrastructure training starts. It is a virtual work clinic. We dock up and I comb you through every infrastructural piece of your business, operations, marketing, team infrastructure, all of it. I give you a resource guide for the systems I use and the tools that I operate my business with. This August will make 14 years that I've been a full-time entrepreneur, and it's been over 8 years since I've been a global entrepreneur. So I understand what it takes to sustain.
Yeah, yes, you do.
And I am happy to teach you what I've learned and hold that space for you to get your business organized. The infrastructure of your business is like the skeletal system. If there's no bones, nothing can stand.
Yep.
Okay. So go to thewombsauna.com/events. And if you're coming from Tiffany Bethea, the way I broker relationships in the marketplace, I'm going to cut her a check because you heard us talking, but I want to work with my sister for her time and her energy and her support. So if you're coming from Tiffany Bethea, when you register, let me know. I will cut her a check and we will welcome you into the 5-day business infrastructure training. Let's get it cleared. Let's clarify things and get you headed in the right direction. I love y'all so much. Thank you for listening and tuning in. I got some more lives coming before the 30th. So make sure you have your notifications turned on. And you're also on my email list because Tiffany has tasked me with doing better with my email.
Yes, and did.
We love y'all. Peace.